It's exciting. Baseball coming back.
Yeah,
And
I'm ready for it. You and I need to go swing the bat. If
I
we can do it
do.
and not be in a frickin' swamp.
Well, and this year, and you'll get to this point with Atticus where, Penelope's getting old enough that I can actually take her to a game. And like a Sunday game, my biggest thing with the Bulls is like all these games are at 7:00. It's like, okay, well, my child's not going to last any time at 7:00, but they do have Sunday games at 5:00. And I'm like, okay, well, we can make that work at least for a little while.
Yeah, at least, max 2 hours and then get your butts home and get them to bed.
Right. Is this mic hot?
It's hot and we are live. Cool. We are rolling. I like people to get a little bit of the extra flavor at the beginning of the episode. How am I sounding? Am I coming through clear?
Yeah, man. Great.
Cool. Yeah. I did kind of a sound check beforehand just to make sure everything's rolling. But yeah, man. I've told you before, I love baseball as well, but my number one team are the Durham Bulls. They always have been. It was the first game I went to as a kid, and I was like, I'm on board. Like, all in.
Well, it's cool because, like, I'm just now getting – obviously, I didn't grow up in Raleigh or in Durham, but, to be here now, so to speak, and to be surrounded by it, it's pretty awesome. It's a great team.
Grow, man. They're a AAA team with, like, titles to their name.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting.
So I'm looking forward to getting some swag here soon for Penelope.
Yeah, they certainly don't make it easy. It's not, I mean, it's cheaper than like a major league team, but there's definitely stuff in there that you're like, okay, so this year they're doing a promotional release of the jerseys to honor Bull Durham. They do something for Bull Durham every year.
Yeah, I saw that.
The jersey this year is for the Lollygaggers, which I freaking love. I love the uniform they did.
Apparently, a lot of people did.
They're the Durham Lollygaggers. But I was going to pre-order a jersey.
Yeah.
To pre-order a jersey is $100.
Oh my gosh, dude.
And I don't have, like, I can't even convince Bree to let me buy a new skateboard deck, and that's like $39. I bought some new bearings today, and I am hella excited about
Really?
That. Yeah. Gonna be using using my original deck, my original wheels, but I've got new bearings, so it'll
nice, man.
It's like Astroglide for the pavement. Well,
that's awesome.
Let's keep our loving fans from waiting 1 second longer and get into the show.
Sounds good.
Welcome back, everyone, to another wild and wet and exciting episode of the R&R Sports Podcast. I am your humble and gracious host, Robert Jones, along with braggart and impotent bastard, Randy Watkins. How are we doing, Randy?
Actually, this is Bob Kraft.
Oh,
and this is Robert. I as CEO and chairman of Kraft Foods and owner of prestigious New England Patriots, I just want to set the record straight on your show here tonight.
Well, Mr. Kraft, I appreciate you making time for being here. First of all, I'd like to say I love your macaroni and cheese, really bar none. And there has never quite been a grilled cheese sandwich without, of course, the Kraft single, which I understand is what you referred to yourself as after the passing of your late wife a few years ago. However, I would like to make the comment, Mr. Kraft, that it has there hasn't been a Jew in a sex scandal this big since Jeffrey Epstein with the Lolita Express. So you got a lot of wrongs you need to right here tonight.
I just want to say, like, I know what you're all thinking. I did not ask for a rub and tug, okay? So I was in Jupiter, Florida, okay? And there's, what else do you know is there in Jupiter, Florida?
You know what? I don't think it's so much the rub and tug. I think the problem is that that you were asking for a discount on a rub and tug. I really think that's the major issue here.
Okay, so because I have a lot of money and I'm worth $6.6 billion, I'm not due a discount on a rub and tug in Jupiter, Florida.
You know, I know that you're one to pinch a penny, but I didn't realize you wanted to be pinched by Penny.
So I just want to say all I did was show the girls some deflated balls and everyone goes nuts. I don't understand that.
Mr. Kraft, is it true that Tom Brady has traded sexual favors to you for positions and promotions on the team?
Um, in the words of the great Bill Belichick, I'm just gonna say we're on to Cincinnati.
Speaking of Bill Belichick, I think it's about time we take a moment and have an interview with a fan favorite. I know he's there with you, Mr. Kraft. So if you could just step over and let us speak to Shitty Bill Belichick for just a minute here, Shitty Bill Belichick.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Congratulations on the big Super Bowl win.
Thanks, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know it was real exciting to have what we like to call the Alabama LSU score. Nothing like a 6-3 contest for 90% of the game, right?
Right. Hey, you can't downplay good football, Robert. You know that, we go out there and we execute a game plan and we play defensive game ball. That's how it goes.
Well, I certainly can speak for many American fans that we would have loved to have at least seen good football. That would have been an improvement on the product that was on the field.
What's your definition of good football? Because I thought it was good football. I mean, we held the Rams to 3 points for 3 quarters.
Coach Belichick, is it true that when you run out of fingers to put rings on, that you will instead go to belly button Super Bowl rings rather than the next logical choice of toe rings?
Well, that's what they make dogs for. So you could just, put them chains around their necks and things like that. And, I have kids too. They can wear them. We can just put them on our toes.
Speaking of dogs,
plenty of options.
Is there any credibility to the rumors that you might be vetting Colin Kaepernick as a backup quarterback there in New England to replace Tom Brady?
I have no comment on that. I'm going to take a knee, actually, instead of commenting on that one.
Shitty Bill Belichick. Sorry. This is Robert Jones of the Daily Informer of Raleigh, North Carolina. Thank you for your time. Congratulations again on the win. I do have one question for you. Describe for me in just a few words your perfect Sunday afternoon.
Well, I used to would say be hanging out with my boys, Tom Brady, even Josh Gordon. But Josh Gordon, we all know, did a little too much, a little marijuana, and he likes the green grass, the
devil's lettuce. Yes,
devil's lettuce. He likes his BLT with a little bit of devil's lettuce. So, I would say that was the perfect Sunday afternoon. And Giselle would come over and she'd show us her modeling pics, and that was really cool. And Tom would show us his Uggs, his new line that was coming out. But now I have to say, a Sunday afternoon with Netflix, it doesn't get much better. The fourth season of Kimmy Schmidt just came out. And if you've watched that, that's
Belichick,
a funny show.
Coach Belichick, I don't know how you have time to fit in any television into your schedule. You seem to be a real maven when it comes to hit web series.
Hey, you just can't. You can't watch football all day long. That'll drive you crazy. But when you're a savant like me, you just have to watch some good TV when it's the off season, especially now. And I'm going to sit in my glory and enjoy the off season being champions for one more year. And we'll see where we go from here, Robert. But yes, good shows. Stranger Things, July 2019.
Jeez. And Scene. That is far, far.
Robert Kraft and Shitty Bill Belichick are so close. If you watch their interviews, they have so many of the same, I guess, ways about them. The way they talk, the way they speak, the way they carry themselves. Like I watched Robert Kraft interviews today in preparation for our wonderful podcast tonight. Yeah. And he is so dry too, dude.
If I may, Randall, just hold on. I need a sip just for a second. Randall, I've been meaning to say to you, your Robert Kraft is a lot like Donald Trump, very similar. And my attorneys will be in touch with you shortly. It did have a little touch of Trump, Boston, New York.
Yeah, right. But one way or the other.
Yeah.
So wow, man, the big news today. A man worth $6 billion gets busted for, should we say alleged?
Allegedly. Yeah, it is allegedly. Yeah.
Sexual, was it? Not misconduct, but sexual.
He was
sexual
soliciting sexual relations from a lady of the evening.
The thing that's interesting is that the question is like, is this because this was a part of a sex trafficking ring, like sting.
Oh, okay.
And the question is there greater involvement than this, or was he literally just a John caught up in it? So that's kind of cool.
How do you just walk in? My first question is, why the hell is he in Jupiter, Florida?
Yeah, your lips to God's ears, Randy. Your lips to God's ears.
Certainly not enjoying the beach or the babes or the beautiful bikinis. I'll tell you that.
Well, Elon Musk is trying to get to Mars, and so Bob Kraft is like, well, I'll go to Jupiter. Show his ass.
He just put them on the map.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, where's Jupiter, Florida?
What's that crater in the topography there, Randy? Why, that's the asshole of America, son.
Well, I've been through Jupiter on the way to West Palm Beach, but I have never stayed in Jupiter.
That's some David Bowie shit there.
Yeah.
On the way to Jupiter. Goodness gracious. That was an awful David Bowie. That was more like a high Bob Dylan. I mean, like a really high Bob Dylan. Goodness gracious. Yeah, it's been a huge day for news. So we never really did a recap of the Super Bowl, and it's way too late to do that. But I think everybody could understand wildly disappointing.
Wow, dude, it's completely disappointing.
It's disgusting.
You and I were texting back and forth. It was such a drab game.
Yeah.
And you and I are, probably you more so than I am, are a fan of defenses, but that's not what the league is anymore.
No, that was just a boring ass game. It wasn't even like, so Tom Brady, get this, Randy. Tom Brady went the whole playoffs with no sacks.
Wow.
The only sack the Pats were getting was on Robert Kraft in Jupiter, Florida. Hey-o.
So the Rams they were the second most offensive team the year. They had second highest scoring team. Thank you. They had scored over 500 points. We dropped that stat on one of the episodes. Sure. One of the teams that scored over 500 points in a season.
Yep.
And their offense fell completely flat. And I was one of those proponents that Sean McVay is going to come out, have that team running, and going to have some surprises. And they didn't. Nothing worked. And I don't know if it was a product of really good defense or just terrible offense. I guess I still haven't made up my mind what that was.
I don't know, man. I'm just getting so jaded. Like, you see these weird ass things happen in big games, and it just, I know I'm already Mr. Conspiracy Theorist, but it just makes everything feel rigged. It just,
yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. Like, the whole playoffs made no sense. Neither the Rams nor the Pats were supposed to be there.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's like the NFL's like, hey, wait, remember Tom Brady's first Super Bowl? That was against the Rams. Well, maybe if we have him beat the Rams again, this will be his last Super Bowl, and he'll just go away.
Manufacturer storylines. Right.
That's what I mean.
We all thought the Saints were pretty much a shoe-in. Like, the Rams are absolutely good, but the Saints were playing high-caliber football, and we both thought that the Chiefs had better of a chance.
The Chiefs were the better team in that game.
Yeah, they were. And Brady got the benefit of a lot of the calls. Well, at least we can say that it was not a Super Bowl decided by calls.
That's very true.
Absolutely say that without a shadow of a doubt. But a couple of big storylines came out of that game, and since then, of Todd Gurley being more hurt than was originally led on. I mean, he was barely in the game again, Robert.
His knee was real bad. The other thing, and here's the bad look for the league. So who was the MVP of the Super Bowl, Randy?
Julian Edelman.
Who had a 4-game suspension for steroid and amphetamine use at the beginning of the season.
Julian Edelman. Who I would say was my
had more gas in the tank at the end of the season.
12th round draft pick. Yes. Fantasy football.
Another Jew. There's very few of them in professional sports.
That dude can catch some balls.
I don't mean it disparagingly, but if anybody's ever seen the old comedy movie Airplane, like they're handing out materials on the plane, and she's like giving them options, and one of the options is famous Jewish athletes, and it's just like a 2-page pamphlet.
Not many of them.
Yeah, it's like you got Koufax and you got Edelman, and you got some boxers and not a whole lot, maybe some chess masters. But yeah,
it's the old Yankee, isn't there? The old, oh gosh, his name is on the tip of my tongue. Old Yankee. Hall of Fame Yankee. I thought he was a Jew.
There's a lot of Hall of Fame Yankees, Randy.
I want to say, gosh, his name escapes me right now.
Well, moving on.
Bernie Beanies.
Yogi Berra?
Yogi Berra. Isn't he? Is he a Jew? Thank you.
You know what, Randy? I don't know if Yogi Berra is a Jew. Let's see here. I'll look it up.
Look up. Is Yogi Berra Jewish?
Catholic, Roman Catholic.
Oh, okay.
Yep. He's the son of and also it asked, did you mean Yogi Bear religion? Which is even
Yogi Bear religion.
Even more upsetting because now it means that somebody has a Yogi Bear. Hey, boo.
Hey, yo.
And the Lord did open thine picnic basket, and he did say it was good.
Look,
we shall now turn to the book of Ranger Rick.
Yeah, so Edelman, yeah, albeit, dude, I think Brady threw to him the entire game, which we had our questions.
I was gonna say, yeah, he didn't throw to Gronk, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. A lot of people have said, "Is this Gronk's last season? Is he going out?"
Yeah, probably. So. I mean, I'm just tired of all.
I play football, coach.
Yeah, where the ball? I want the ball.
My favorite color is potato.
Randy and I are not in any way disparaging the mentally deficient.
No.
We're just saying that Gronkowski is just, really we shouldn't be making fun of him because you're not supposed to make fun of people who are challenged, Randy.
Oh, that's true. Forgive me.
It's a bad look. It's a bad look.
Forgive me.
And we love all of God's children.
We do.
No matter how big and stupid they are. Somebody needs to make Of Mice and Men again with Gronk, in it. One day we have a farm and have lots of rabbits that I can pet. Gronk, he broke another one of their necks. I know. It's Tom and Gronk. Tom Brady and Gronk do Of Mice and Men.
Well, there was a picture floating around with what the Asian girl looked like at the parlor, and it was, I don't know if I sent it to you, but it was Tom Brady with long hair and lipstick.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, man. Yeah, we'll see what happens with their team after. But yes, God, what a god-awful, and it was one of those like, okay, we're going to the fourth quarter. This is where champions are made. Jared Goff's going to step up. All of the storylines being there. They've been held down for 3 quarters. Yep. And still, man, just flat. Okay, we're talking about second half adjustments. They're going to come out firing. And they scored that touchdown right out of no, it wasn't the second half. It was in the fourth quarter. I think it was. Did they finally score? Well, they never scored a touchdown, did they?
No, the Rams never scored a touchdown.
Yeah, they never scored a touchdown. They got close, and there was turnovers.
Yeah.
But, man, and shitty commercials, too, dude. Like, what happened to funny Super Bowl commercials?
Well, you can't make fun, Randy, because to make fun, you have to push someone down. And if you're pushing someone down, you're literally Hitler. You are literally Hitler.
You always have to be a message now, dude. Really? You're going to pay millions of dollars for just a message?
Don't they understand? Can't you make just inane, stupid stuff? That's what this show completely was founded on, Randy. And quite frankly, it's what this country was founded on. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies.
Bud Light and say, there's not corn syrup in our beer.
That's
Yeehaw.
not a bragging point. Do
Well,
you like high fructose corn syrup? God knows I do, but not in my beer. Our beer, it's the most tolerable of the light
Right.
cheap beers.
right. You can put it in my soda, but not in my beer, damn it.
Do you like 16 different versions of shitty flavorings added to your light beer? Then Bud Light might be for you. Can you imagine somebody contemplating suicide drinking a Bud Light Lime?
Bud Light Lime, BL Lime, baby. Woo!
Some BLLs.
BLLRUN to be able to run.
Oh God, Bud Light Lime Run. All you need is a 10 and a 5, and you've got like a million of them.
Yeah, the Super Bowl stunk was completely disappointing. Like I'm going to
so
go back
over
and give you props and say that the Saints Chiefs game that you said would be the best game of the year. You were absolutely right. It absolutely was.
The Rams Chiefs
I'm
game.
sorry. Yeah, Rams Chiefs game. Sorry.
And again, part of me, the reason why they'd never do it, if you're looking at from a rigging stand, the Rams Chiefs, it's a cross-state rivalry, but it's in the flyover states,
Right?
Which is it's a shame, because you got to think, when you lived in Missouri and the Rams were there, and you got Kansas City and Missouri there too, it's two teams in the same state. It's great, right. Different conferences too, so it's not like they see each other all the time.
What sucks, dude, and my immediate thought was this is a year that we've had the Red Sox and now the Patriots win in the same year.
Yeah.
Again.
And people from Boston are just insufferable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody outside of Boston could give a shit, but you're going to see those guys on the side of the streets that are wearing their Boston hat, their Red Sox hat, their Patriots gear.
90% of the fans in Atlanta were Pats fans for the Super Bowl.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
It's crazy. It's how?
It's NFC country.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the Rams team did not travel well. That's for sure, because there were a ton of Patriots fans there.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think they like warm weather, but obviously they didn't have a problem.
They're like groundhogs,
But there's a lot of bandwagon fans. There's a lot, there's this guy that was one of our vendors would come in, and he had a Patriots beanie on.
Listen, Randy, there are a lot of basic bitches out there who've only recently adopted the Patriots as their favorite team. And I love Bobby Kraft, but it is because of that I'm making an executive order. I'm declaring a national emergency on basic bitches. I am outlawing Ugg boots. I think we need to build a wall around the mall and clean up our streets.
Please don't give up yoga pants, sir. We need those.
I see you're a fan of moose knuckles, Randy. You're out in public and you're like, well, that leaves nothing to the imagination. And quite frankly, you need a trim.
If she's got a moose knuckle, run.
Why are they eating it?
She's hungry all the time.
Yeah, I know. Whoa.
Yeah, that's true.
So, in more interesting news than depressing Super Bowl stuff, Jim Boeheim killed a man.
Dude, I saw that, man. That's crazy, because I was watching the end of that game the other night before Carolina Duke game started, obviously. Yeah. But that's terrible, Robert.
Yeah, and a freak accident. I mean, I'm not going to be one of those people who's like, oh, he's a murderer. No, it's a tragic, awful bit of circumstance. Jim Boeheim was driving all around in the snow. There was a car, basically an abandoned vehicle, broken down right in the middle of the road. So he swerves to avoid it and hits the guy whose car it was, who was just standing on the side of the road.
Oh, just awful, Robert. Man, yeah, I cannot imagine, because he's going to be affected by that his entire life. Nobody's going to say, like, yep, I killed a man once on accident. It was complete shitty.
I cannot believe he's coaching tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Duke game. But
just because he's salivating at playing K again without Zion on the court.
I read that, and it kind of puts things in perspective that they are no different than you and I, and that shit could happen to you or I. You're driving down the road, car in the middle of the road. You think you're doing the right thing, and it changes your life.
You know what surprised me the most, Randy? As old as he is, as successful as he is, why is he driving anywhere?
True. That's true.
Like, I'm pretty sure Kay doesn't drive.
No.
Like, I mean, he just doesn't seem like he seems like somebody who would drive him somewhere. You can get more done if you're not driving yourself, but I don't know. I guess Jim Boeheim also kind of looks like the curmudgeonly guy who's like,
I'm proud.
The Uber guy hates it when I drink and smoke a cigar when he's driving, you know?
Yeah. I see people have accidents in the middle of the road all the time, and I'm just like, especially on 40, and I'm like, you need to move over somehow. Just get out of the road before somebody plows into you.
I had somebody passing me tonight in the rain, in the cold, in the dark on 50, going like 80 miles an hour.
Oh, gosh.
And you're like,
definitely not the road for 80 miles an hour.
Where the hell do you need to be? It's a 2-lane road.
2-lane road.
Everybody at home that doesn't know. And it's like 55 miles an hour, sometimes 50 on this road. And so you're like, if you're going in the dark, in the rain, on this road that's littered with deer and
I was going to say, deer, yep. Uh-huh.
God almighty.
Hills everywhere. You don't know what's coming over the next hill.
No. It could be some rum runner who's running with his lights off in the middle of the night. You know?
People are crazy, dude. People, it's get out of my way. Selfish.
Goodness gracious. So, other major news. Well, I mean, there was kind of like the biggest game in the college basketball world this week. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could touch on that if you wanted to.
Sure, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Right to Carolina. Congratulations. You actually got to go to the game.
Well, I should say congratulations to you. Your Carolina Tar Heels played a great game.
Thank you.
What an utter disappointment. I think that's I will say the one thing that's been nice is like, so before the game, I had a lot of Carolina fans just saying the most vitriolic, like evil things to me. It's really nasty, and it really bugs the crap out of me. Like people saying that, oh, you like Duke? Well, you're going to hell. And it's like, it's a religion to them. It's like the cult of Carolina. You know the type. You know. But after the game, Carolina fans, though Carolina played really well, Luke Maye had a great night.
Sure.
Everybody knows you kind of got away with something there, you know? Randy?
Want me to agree?
I mean,
you absolutely. You lost the best player on the court. The one
lost the best player in the country, Randy.
Yeah, absolutely. You got two other all-Americans there.
So that's the other argument I hear. But if you've game planned for 2 weeks for Carolina, that your answer to Luke Maye is Zion and not anybody else.
Oh, yeah. Jack White didn't do jack shit.
Because he doesn't have the size.
Right.
The only person who can match weight with Luke Maye is Zion.
Yes, absolutely.
And so you take Zion out, and Luke has a great night.
Yeah.
Has an amazing night, career night.
Their best player. And I think, looking at that game, Robert, and RJ Barrett, man, I just want to say, dude, he is going to be an awesome NBA talent because the guy is unstoppable.
Sure. Well, he was pretty damn stoppable. I mean, he had a great night, but in a vacuum, his 30 or whatever, it's not enough.
Right.
Because all of his shots.
And Cam Reddish is good, but he's definitely not to the level of those two.
Yeah.
So, albeit he's probably still a top 5 or top 10 pick, whatever he's going to be. But losing Zion, you lose the best player, like you said, not only on the court, but in the country. I don't know how many teams could survive it. They just didn't seem like they could get their head straight after that. And
Carolina scored 62 points in the paint.
Yeah.
62.
Yeah.
And Carolina's
they're not a paint team.
They're not a paint team. Here's what happened is that both teams did the exact opposite of what they're good at.
Yeah.
So Duke suddenly tried to be a 3-point shooting team, and they shot 35% from the field. Yeah. Carolina, who historically is good from 3-point range, shot 10% from 3-point range in the game.
Yeah, they did.
But dominated in the paint.
Right. They were terrible. Yeah. And it was funny to see, or not funny to see, but interesting to see that Jones and Kobe White canceled each other out. Man, what a battle at point guard. They were just going at it.
And you know what the thing is? So here's the thing, Randy, that bothered me most about the game is that both teams played sloppy as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd have a turnover and a turnover and a turnover.
Dude, I'd never seen so many steals and turnovers in my life.
You know what it really speaks to? And before the game started, you and I may have talked about this, but I definitely talked about it with my grandfather. I said, if Duke's going to lose this game, it is because their freshmen are not prepared for this moment.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that Carolina has over Duke is players with some more experience.
That's right.
You have players that have been there. You've had players that have been in this game. I think that's one of the things that really disappoints me about this is like that was Zion's chance in his 1 year of college to play at Cameron against the rival and show off to the world. It's the most eyeballs that we're ever going to be on.
Staged, dude, and everybody and their brother came out for that game, including former President Obama.
Yeah.
So
who I was sitting about 20 yards away from.
Yeah.
Although I have to say this because I think it's really funny. And I didn't even realize it until I went back and watched the video. So I was recording a lot of the intros and stuff. And when I'm recording, when the former president comes out on the court, the only thing you can hear on my video is, "Holy crap, that's Spike Lee." So my bias as a film major came out because
True, you were texting me and I was like, I'm not a fan of Spike Lee. Yeah, but obviously now it makes sense. Film major.
I'm just saying anybody likes well, anyways, everybody should go see Do the Right Thing. If you're only going to see one Spike Lee movie, that's the one to go see.
Nice.
But yeah, it's so dumb. And here's the other trick is that Greg Olson was sitting, pretty close to where I was at, and I had no idea.
I had no idea he was there either. I saw King Griffey Jr. was there, and it was funny because I took the picture. There's 30 people around him, right? And I sent it to my buddies. I'm like, how many people around this guy have no clue who King Griffey Jr. is? Other than, dude, that's a tall black dude. He must have done something.
He does kind of look like Steve Smith got swole. Is that Steve Smith? No, it's King Griffey Jr.
And what a player, dude. What an awesome talent. But and yeah, biggest stage. I really hate it for Zion, and I hate it for you guys. I mean, I really do. And as a Carolina fan, I always try to be cordial with Duke fans and not rub it in anyone's face and say anything. But yeah, man, just talk about bad luck.
Duke was never in that game, and so here's the deal. So that's why for me, and I'm not. Randy, I'm not taking anything away from Carolina. Carolina came out and executed their game plan perfectly. They kept Duke out of the paint. They gave Duke open looks at shots they knew they couldn't make.
Right.
Roy Williams executed a perfect. They came out and did exactly what they were supposed to do, what they needed to do, and that's amazing. That's what they were supposed to do. It's just so disappointing. You can tell that for those talented guys to be beaten by 16 and being down by as many as 23. At one point, may have been more than that. That you could just tell the mental impact of losing Zion in literally the first 30 seconds of the game.
Impact.
It's the first offensive possession.
Yep.
And
your general goes down and all the sergeants are left.
Yeah. The thing is, so here's the deal. It's somebody said, well, why couldn't they recover? And it's if you're going to fight with Superman and Superman dies, you're like, well, what freaking chance do I have? You know what I mean?
You're left with Aquaman.
And the worst part is too, Randy, is it wasn't even a foul. It wasn't a play. It was a freak accident.
Yeah.
And let's hope it was an accident.
It was funny because I saw a couple of people, well, I'm going to say one person on Twitter that was like, this is Luke May's fault, and that was a dirty play. I'm like, what?
It wasn't. No. The only question of something is if this was sabotage of some kind. But sabotage doesn't even explicitly have to be from a Carolina person. You know what I mean?
No.
It could be anything. But Nike's never had an on-the-court shoe failure before, ever.
Oh, really? Okay, I was wondering about that. And I know it was Paul George's signature shoe.
Yeah.
And there's about 50 to 60 players that wear that shoe in the NCAA. So, and
you want to know where the the rumor mill is, for the conspiracy theorists, it's Michael Jordan did this because he's Mr. Nike. He's pulling the string.
No, I don't think even he would stoop to that level to something like
he'd stoop to A level, but maybe not that level.
maybe not that level.
He'd love for his low tier the Hornets again, to be able to draft Zion, right?
Part of me, and I think most Carolina fans would agree, it's great to get a win like that, but I would so much rather get it with their best player on the court.
Yeah, it means more to beat them with Zion in the court.
Right. And like you said, I mean, they executed, they played well, and Duke was just not the good team that night. And, watching the guys walk off the court, I'm going to say this about Coach K. He was not happy. He's not happy because he normally talks to players. And number two, he normally talks to the head coach after the game. He ran by Roy Williams after that game. If you go back and look, he barely even shook his hand and kept walking. Roy was trying to talk to him. He kept walking.
Well, Roy
pissed off he was.
Roy's known for talking to everybody.
Yeah.
So from the perspective of more going on than we know behind the scenes, the fact that Kay did that's indicative, because that's not standard operating procedure for Kay.
Right. It's not. He's normally a player's coach and likes to talk to the head coach after the game.
Absolutely. Especially somebody like Roy, who he gets along with.
So a lot of talk, let me ask you this, has come out, is Zion, should he sit the rest of the year?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, his own family came forward and said he increased his draft stock and money potential by playing a year in college.
Mm-hmm.
And he did.
I would agree with that. Yeah, because R.J. Barrett was the number one coming out.
Precisely. And now, so that's why, everybody remembers the sound bite from Jay Billis after the very first game when Zion crushed Kentucky. And it's Jay Billis going oh my God.
Yeah, they thought he was one-dimensional and he could only dunk. So
and here was a dominating performance. So he absolutely made himself more money by being in college. And quite frankly, between you and me, if he did not play the rest of the season, I think he would cost himself some money.
So
what the question though is he going to go with Nike for his shoe deal? And methinks perhaps not.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, that was my
Balance is trying to make a comeback with the new Kawhi Leonards. If you haven't seen. So maybe he can jump on, or actually, Big Baller Brand is looking for a few good men.
Big Baller.
But if you saw, I don't know if you saw, the NBA made it, or there was a proposal made to the National Basketball Association to lower the age from 19 to 18 right after this happened.
That's fine, but of course, what do? You take advantage of political situations to push stuff through, but it has to be collectively bargained for. The NBA just can't do it; it has to be agreed with the players.
Right.
So that's really the trick. And then the NCAA has to change their policy as well.
Okay, so I didn't know if it was both organizations or if it was just the NBA.
Yeah. So primarily though, it's the NBA, but again, it has to be collectively bargained for.
So. I don't know your opinion on this, and I don't want to drag it out any longer, but I think kids should be able to go straight in.
I agree.
If they are that high of a talent, like a Zion Williamson, why waste the university's money, the room, the board, the scholarship, all the money?
Well, let me just say, it's not a waste of their money because they use it for money and recruiting. They definitely make their money.
I shouldn't say a waste, but if the guy is that good, okay. Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, the famous ones that come straight out of high school and go straight in before the rule change. Why not just let them go? They're either going to succeed or they're going to fail either anyways. So
did Ben Simmons increase his draft stock by playing at LSU?
No, I wouldn't say.
No, not at all. And in fact, the whole time he was there, he looked like he hated it.
Yeah.
He's a perfect example of a player who didn't glean anything from college. Zion is actually a perfect example of somebody who, by going to college, increased the amount of money that he's going to make.
I don't think Blake Griffin did either at Oklahoma, to be quite honest with you.
And sure, there's plenty of examples like that. But then there's also the guys who come. There still are guys, Randy, who come in as freshmen who would not be in the NBA, and after 3 to 4 years come out and they're great.
That's what I was going to say. If you're going to go to college, you should at least have to stay there for 3 years. Okay. Like football.
Yep.
You should at least be there and dedicated for 3 years. And then you come out and because those 3 years are huge developmental years, and you go in a boy and you come out a man.
Right. And you've got at least 3 years that you can complete your degree with.
Right.
Heaven
Right.
forbid.
Exactly.
You have 3 years of credits you can go back and fall on.
And not just for 1 year. Let me make the most that I can for my family now instead of getting injured and losing it for the rest of my life.
Sure. No, I mean, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And you got to remember, I believe in the free market. I think putting a limitation on that is disgusting.
Yeah.
So, 18 years old, if your draft stock is to the point where you can go to the NBA, go to the NBA. You'd be hard pressed to convince me that there isn't benefit for players to go to college, because I think anywhere that you're playing, you're going to be learning. The NBA is a furnace, and it will burn you up if you're not ready for it.
One last thing about the Duke Carolina I wanted to mention was the Cam Johnson injury. If you recall, that he was trying to make a layup, got knocked out of bounds, and immediately was knocked into camera people on the baseline. I understand Cameron's small, Robert, but why do they still have people 3 feet from the freaking baseline?
I mean, they do that in the NBA, Randy.
And that's crazy to put people right there. I thought the NBA was further back. They're at least, I thought.
They're pretty close.
Back.
Pretty close, man. I mean, Obama was right up on the court.
I know people are right there in college, but I thought NBA was further back. It just seems very risky to both. And I'm not just talking about this from a Carolina perspective. I'm talking about from a player's perspective. You're going hard for the ball. The momentum is carrying you past the backboard. And, if you're running into people.
We see it in the NFL, and people run into people on the sidelines all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the nature of it.
In the NBA too. I mean, who was Joel Embiid just ran over somebody the other night. You got
an easy way to get hurt.
Trying to jump and knock out a computer monitor and crash into you. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, I was just looking as a fan. I was like, Jesus, man, that's a recipe for disaster. Somebody really getting hurt right there.
Yeah, and I don't know what the solution for it is.
Don't put people on the freaking baseline.
Well, but the thing is, so the press basically has no room in Cameron anyways. You notice they're backed up right to the Cameron crazies, the student section. Those guys are catching bows all night.
Right.
But Cameron only holds 9,300 people. To put that in perspective, the Dean Dome holds nearly 2,200 people.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Dean Dome is probably one of the biggest college basketball venues in the country.
22,000, but yeah.
What did I say?
2,200.
Oh, yeah, it's obviously 22,000.
22,000 versus 93. I didn't realize it was that small. I mean, I knew it was small. You could still see an upper level and a lower level, but I didn't realize it was.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me put it this way, Randy. There's not a bad seat in the house. Unfortunately, at the Dean Dome, there are some bad seats in that house.
There are. And they're at the very back and the top where
you you can't see the court because you're around the wall. Who the hell designed that?
What is PNC at? Is it at 50,000?
No, 19,772. So it's 2,000 less than the Dean Dome.
Okay. So that kind of puts it in perspective because it's still a large house, but wow, half of that is Cameron. Do you ever think, just as a Duke fan,
Keenan Memorial Stadium is 51,000.
Keenan is Winston, right? What Keenan?
No, Keenan is Chapel Hill there.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And Carter Finley is larger than that at 57.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you ever think they'll demolish Cameron, or they're just?
So they're never going to demolish Cameron. They've stuck with it for too long. It's too old. It's the hallowed halls. It's the part of the tradition.
Right.
The one I'd see demolished sooner than that would probably be the Dean Smith Center, because the biggest problem they have there is parking.
Yeah, it is terrible.
You have, what do we say, 21,000, almost 22,000 people there, and there's no way for them to park near the stadium?
No. The same goes for Carter Finley. I mean,
what do you mean? Carter Finley's surrounded by parking.
I'm sorry, not Carter Finley, but the football stadium. I don't know what that's called at Carolina.
That's Keenan. That's what I was. Right. Yeah. Same problem. Yeah, Keenan.
Sorry.
So the reason why I know Keenan is one of my oldest friends whose whole family went to Carolina. His name is Keenan. He's named after the stadium.
Oh. There's nowhere to, and that's why I give props to NC State and Carter Finley. Is like there's nowhere to tailgate at Carolina. That's
Right. Well, and that's why. So, like when they moved everything out there, that was like. So here's the weird thing: it's in the middle of nowhere. So you're like, well, where am I going? But there's no shortage of parking at the stadiums or PNC.
Right. Right.
Which is kind of nice. Yeah, and they've got a built-in tailgating area. That is one of the challenges at Carolina. It's easier to tailgate if you're a student because you're already there.
So before we get out of college basketball, I will say that nobody except for really Duke is running away with the title chances this year. If you watch Tennessee, who I was surprised to be at the top, they just got beat
by Kentucky.
Exactly.
By the only other good team in the SEC.
Right. There's no team that's just like, oh my God, they're going to blow away everybody except for Duke. And if the freshmen can come together, play as a team, all the chemistry's there, nobody's injured, then they're unstoppable, Robert. I mean,
I know what you mean. I mean, really the challenge, and it's so what we've seen, Duke only has 3 losses, but like Carolina's a good team. And they're getting good at the right time.
They're getting better, yes.
But the problem with Carolina is that when they lose bad. And
they are inconsistent. They are absolutely inconsistent.
Duke has lost to a seasoned Gonzaga team, a crafty Syracuse team that is beating good teams. Yeah. And they're beaten by Carolina, their rival,
Yeah.
So they have losses, but they're solid losses. They're to quality opponents.
Well, we're getting close to March Madness, and I know it's one of your favorite times of the year. It's one of my favorite times of the year where Christmas. Anything can happen, bro. I love March Madness.
Oh, man. I hate to say it, man. I see Virginia going out in the second round.
If they don't go out in the first round.
I ain't calling first. I'm washing my hands of that. I ain't calling first round. Last year, that was like,
last year.
That was like we called it. We're like number 1 overall. Bullshit. But neither one of us, I think we said, wouldn't it be crazy if they lost in the first round?
Well, remember, I had a feeling. I was like, this year could be the year
that number one loses to
upset. And, you and I said, okay, who's the weakest?
And they were the number 1 overall. And but the problem is, here in the ACC, in the rest of the country, they don't see Virginia as much because who the fuck cares about Virginia, right?
Right.
Here in the ACC with Carolina, Duke, with State, and we see them play all the time.
Right.
So we have a really good feel for what Tony Bennett's doing there at Virginia. So
I bet nobody's going to be betting their brackets on that friggin' team this year.
No. Well, and now in fairness, Virginia's losses are both to Duke.
So they may still get a number 1 seed.
They may still get a number 1 seed. I mean, if you're going to lose to anybody twice, Duke's a good team to lose to twice.
Yes.
And didn't get blown out by Duke.
They don't look as good as they did last year.
No, they don't. But they have one of the best shooters in the league.
Yes, they do. Can't remember his name, but that kid's
right. Yeah, just some boring white dude at Virginia. And he doesn't have a memorable name like JJ Redick was. At a time, JJ Redick was one of the best shooters in the league.
Yes.
But JJ memorable.
Guy is his last name? Trevor Guy or
that sounds right. You'd know better than I do. They're just the boring Virginia team.
I would say Guy, Mr. Guy.
Yeah.
He can shoot that rock.
Oh man, we got a lot to catch up on here, man.
And, I wanted to mention the AAF, the football league alliance. What's something?
We have
Alliance Football League.
2 state connections to the AAF.
Yeah.
Former ECU coach, Coach Logan, Steve Logan, is the quarterbacks coach for I think, or the offensive coordinator. He's like the quarterbacks. I think he's the quarterbacks coach for the Birmingham Iron.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
So they are the default. Since he has a radio show here on 99.9 The Fan, we've kind of like become the default. That's the AAF team the Triangle pulls for.
Yeah.
I got a lot of kin in Alabama. But the other connection, of course, is that Carolina Hurricanes owner, Tom Dundon, has just put in 250 million schmeckles to keep the league afloat because they were about to miss payroll.
I heard that.
And so he has become
surprising because right out the gate, they gained a lot of attention. And the
thing is,
games, the games were wide open. Not a lot of penalties, not a lot of commercials. And,
oh man, did you see the one where the quarterback on his not blind side, but his regular side just got lit up and helmet popped off?
It's Bergavici or whatever, former ASU quarterback. There's some recognizable names in this league.
But see,
and if you remember, Robert, Christian Hackenberg came out of the draft, and people were saying he was the best quarterback in that draft, and he wasn't. He completely fell flat. But the D League, if you will, for the NFL now,
right? Well, and they know that. So they're not trying to compete with the NFL. They're trying to be a developmental league for the NFL. In fact, they're looking at making a more formal partnership with the NFL.
Right.
In fact, one of the things I said, in fact, twice there, which I really shouldn't do, that's bad. But Tom Dundon had a conversation with Roger Goodell before he agreed to buy into the AAF to kind of help strengthen that relationship, to be like, this is where I want us to potentially be in the next couple of years. Let's formalize this arrangement. And here's the deal. The NFL benefits from it because it's less that they have to do with the NCAA.
Absolutely. You go from a 52-man squad plus a practice squad to guys that, aren't really practice squad material.
Oh my God. Can you imagine guys being kicked down to the minor leagues?
Which is great because you still have a lot of talent there.
Sure.
And just because you weren't drafted doesn't mean that you can't make it in the NFL. There's plenty of undrafted people that go in the league every year that excel.
Apparently the AAF reached out to Colin Kaepernick and he countered with $20 million.
20 million. Oh, wow.
That's more than that's more than several teams' whole payroll.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, but that was his, FU response. Like, I'm not going to
still think he's better, even though he doesn't have a job. Give me a break.
So here's,
a real player would be like, I'd rather play football than nothing at all. But, money's money, and then make your way back up.
I'm sure he just made a nice little paycheck
from Nike.
The settlement. Well, yeah, Nike's paying him, which I think is just, again, you talk about everything has a message. It's like Nike's all about selling the message.
Well, the joke I heard this week was we knew Nike was all in favor of supporting taking a knee, but we didn't know it was Zion.
Zion's knee, yeah. Yeah, I heard that one. Seriously, if I was every other shoe company right now, I would be salivating over Zion. Because
if you're Adidas, yeah.
Or Puma or somebody, yeah.
Crocs, you want to make Crocs in.
See, it's great. It doesn't even have laces. I just slip them on.
Rainbows want to get in the league.
He's up there with like camouflage Croc basketball shoes. He's got that little shit that you snap into the holes.
It feels so damn good.
Yeah.
Well, dude, football's pretty much over with, bro, and it's sad. We're gonna have to talk some basketball now.
I know, man. Yeah, but we're coming up on March Madness, which here in North Carolina, I mean, that's like, it's better than Easter.
That's right. Woo! So,
Oh,
NBA All-Star game. Well,
delivered.
This stuff. Yeah,
the game was great, man. A whole bunch of like storylines too off the court. LeBron drafted himself like the dream team. Jesus Christ.
He did.
I don't know how that one shook out, but like he got the better end of that deal in a big way. He had Durant, he had Harden, they even got Dwayne Wade on there who was looking good.
Yeah, Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, man.
I mean, yeah, what a team. And they were down. Weren't they down most of the game?
Yeah, but they turned it on when they started taking it serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Durant looked great. It just makes you salivate, man. You think about having like LeBron, Durant, and Kyrie back together.
In 2018 team.
Yeah.
Damn you, Google. I want 2019.
You know what I hate? You know what I really hate is like, think about how much better Cleveland could have been if Kyrie stayed with Cleveland. Think about how many more titles LeBron could have if he had stayed with Miami.
Seriously. Yeah.
Like, I feel like he has made very poor business decisions when it has come to his career.
Cleveland.
And he did that for his legacy. He did that because he felt like he owed the city of Cleveland something, which is really dumb. Nobody owes Cleveland anything because, it's a rust hole. But, and here he's out in LA and nobody's coming to play with him. And all the young guys on his team know they're going to be traded away, so they're not trying that hard. But they did beat the Rockets last night.
I saw that. So I didn't see if Harden continued his streak. I know he was there like 30, 31 games.
I didn't hear that it was snapped, so I would assume that it continued.
Yeah.
That would be my assumption.
I heard that, earlier this week he was 31 consecutive games, 30 points plus. He's actually over 40.
Yeah.
But he was a long ways away from Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain's streak of 65 games.
Yeah. But see, that's just the crazy thing. Like, the game was just so different then. I mean, just like the game is so drastically different now. It's different now than it was 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
15 years ago, a guy like Steph couldn't have the career that he's having right now.
No.
He's a little undersized for his position.
Yeah,
he's great. Yeah. And the rules have changed to benefit the offensive side so much.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be so careful trying to play defense, which I hate. Because let's think about it. Great defensive players are not known for their tight, delicate precision.
So I want to correct myself by saying, Kawhi Leonard on his team, James Harden, like you mentioned, Anthony Davis also on there, who was a big trade target for the Lakers that, quite frankly, didn't happen.
Well, they threw everything at it, but the Pelicans are pissed off that they're losing him.
Damian Lillard is no slouch. LaMarcus Aldridge, Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, dude, he drafted a big team, not a small team. He drafted a big-ass team compared to Giannis' team. Small.
I love that format. I got to tell you, man, I love it.
That is pretty cool. I agree.
Schoolyard style, man.
West, right?
I think it's great. And I think the storylines are great. I love seeing the camaraderie, all the behind the scenes stuff. The celebrity game was interesting. The dunk contest was a big fat snooze fest. Dude,
that kid jumping over Shaq and putting the elbow in, that was pretty tight.
Yeah, but like so many of their dunks, they had to try like a dozen times,
Yeah.
Come on.
Look, as the kids say, that was lit AF, Robert.
Yes, that's those whippersnappers. Now, Randall, I know that you're hip and with it. You are a youth.
Boss life.
Now, don't, Randy, God damn it, quit flashing those goddamn gang signs. you little wigger.
I miss the days of Dwight Howard doing like the off the backboard, blowing out the candle with a Superman cape.
Sure.
And even you and I growing up, Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan going at it. Big names, dude.
Yeah. LeBron's never been in the dunk contest.
Never done it. That's what I was going to say.
Now, he does dunk exhibitions before like every game, but he's never been in the dunk contest.
Why? What does he have to lose? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So what? He screws up and doesn't win. Who cares? He's still
maybe. Now, here's a different way of looking at it. People don't believe this, but he has a tremendous amount of respect for Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he idolizes Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that's why he didn't pick 23 to replace Michael Jordan. He picked it because he loves him.
Right.
It may be out of deference and respect to him, like, nobody did it like him. I won't even try.
Right.
Just another perspective.
It's just like, you and I grew up in the era where the big names actually
competed,
participated in the dunk contest, and we just don't see that anymore.
It's the young guys. Yeah,
we see the young guys, even second stringers, participating in the contest, and it's just, it doesn't carry the weight that it used to. Even
jumping
over a freaking Kia was better than, what we've seen in the past few years.
No, I know what you mean. But thank goodness the All-Star game came to Charlotte. It's the first time it's been there since 1991.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Which is
That's
hard
true.
to believe. Yeah. And the last time it was there, Michael Jordan played in the game, and now he's the owner of the team where they're hosting it. So here's the deal too. I think long term, I think LeBron wants to be an owner of a team one day.
Think so?
He's certainly making the kind of money that he can do that.
Yeah. I
mean, his shoe contract is upwards of $1 billion. That's insane.
I think LeBron's the type of guy, I think, that wants to continue in the game for years, and that would be a way for him to do that.
Sure.
It would be interesting to see who he would become the owner of.
That's a good question.
Or would it be an expansion team or, whatever? But I could totally see him doing that. A lot of respect for him. So
yeah, and again, we just kind of glazed over this, but it's wildly impressive what Harden is doing for the Rockets. Also with like no assists. He is literally a one-man show.
Yep. Not much of a team around him.
But he was telling Steph over the All-Star break about how he's like, I know this is impressive, but this is not how I want to do it.
Yeah.
Like this is not the kind of basketball I want to be famous for.
Yep.
But at least they have Chris Paul back.
That's true. That's true. He is back from injury. But that team is still missing a third guy. It feels like, to get it done. A third scorer, if you will. Chris Paul will get you the assist, but he's not a big scorer.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. Right.
Yeah, when he was playing in New Orleans, yeah, he was a big scorer.
Right. Not so much anymore.
Yep. Well, I mean, he does what a good point guard should do. Dispense the ball.
Yeah.
Put guys in positions that they're going to score in.
That's exactly right.
Your assist leader should be your point guard.
That's right. Are you tired, bro? Dad life.
Yeah. It's been a week, man. I haven't been able to put Atticus to bed like any night this week.
Oh.
From work. I mean, one night I was going to the Duke game, so obviously that was a super late night. But I've had early starts and late nights, and you know how it goes. You totally know how it goes.
I do.
So
dad life, bro. Always tired.
That's the truth. That's like I've never been a napper in my life, but now I'm finally like, well, I'm not going to nap, but at least I'll lay down and try and let my body
get it where you can, man.
There's a couple things that happened in the professional fighting world. Did you want to touch on those?
Yeah, one of my favorite fighters, Cain Velasquez, finally made his return to the octagon. He hadn't fought since 2016, a lot of injuries, and two-time UFC champion, and lost in a freak way. I don't know if you saw it, but in the first round to what should have been an easy win, his knee buckled, and he was TKO'd by punches because his knee buckled, and he was pretty much defenseless on the mat. And this is a guy that was one of the most dangerous fighters in the world at the time. He was kind of undersized, but truly carried his own in a very tough heavyweight division at the time. And it sucked to watch it, but that's the beauty of MMA fighting. You never know who's going to win. Anderson Silva made a comeback this year, also a couple of weeks ago, and he lost in a very close decision. But for years, I mean, he had a record like 9 or 10 or maybe even 15 title defenses where he was pound for pound the best fighter for years, and was finally knocked off of his throne by an unknown, a completely, unknown individual in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of this, the fighting world. I think, UFC, I think over the last few years has struggled because of big name stars, but they've used people like Conor McGregor to try to bring more attention to the sport. I feel like 10 years ago it started to gain some traction, and now I think it's kind of losing steam, but there are some big name fighters still out there. they don't have the big names anymore like they used to, but it was sad to see someone like Cain Velasquez lose in his comeback fight.
Yeah.
He had trained so hard, was so prepared for that fight, and just because of a freak accident, just knee buckles and he loses, But I will say, Robert, that he handled it with extreme class and even said after the match that was the beauty of MMA, that anyone can win at any given point.
Yeah.
He gives it all credit to his opponent. It happened the way it happened, and he wasn't a bitch about it. He wasn't a baby and said, I would have knocked his ass out had I not my knee knocked buckled and lost the freaking match.
Yeah. Well, that's the right way to do it. That's the right way to do it. That's the non-Conor McGregor way of doing it.
Yeah.
When you get your ass handed to you and you immediately start calling people out.
Yes. I.e. Mayweather, who's been calling out in the last couple of weeks, Khabib, a couple of other people saying he's coming to MMA and he's going to fight, Yeah.
He would get
like
destroyed. He's a pure boxer, and in fact, he's a highly technical defensive boxer. That is not going to take you anywhere in mixed martial arts.
Put on his back and gets punched in the face. It's not going to end well.
Nah, I mean, in boxing, you've never had somebody wrap their legs around your rib cage and punch you in the throat. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's or defend from a position that you're on the ground and have to block punches or whatever.
No, it's one of those things. Boxing is an element of MMA, but it is not. It's not a winning fighting style.
No.
It's something that you can mix in when you're sparring when you're at the sparring level. But if you can't grapple, you're going to the floor.
No. And if he fought someone like Khabib, who is arguably one of the best wrestlers in MMA and one of the best pound for pound fighters right now, then he would really struggle.
Yeah.
I know in MMA came over to fight him, but that was in his own element. He is arguably one of the greater boxing champions of all time. If not the greatest. I mean, the guy's insane. But for him to go to MMA, I just don't see it working out at all for him. But it is tax season, Robert. You got to make money where you can, brother.
Sure, you're telling me. I'm considering selling a kidney. So real quick, I would just like to thank our guests, Robert Kraft and Shitty Bill Belichick, for stopping by the show. We really appreciate them making the time. Randy, I got to tell you, man, you got to step it up and drag your own weight around here. We can't just depend on other guests to keep the show afloat.
Yes. I'm sad that I didn't get to take an appointment tonight, but see, I never mind a rub and tug, Robert. That's right. I'm sure.
You are famous for them. Speaking of Rub and Tug, Robert Kraft reminds you to support us on Patreon. That's right. Billy Boy Billionaire himself says, if you like the show, consider supporting us there. Just a couple bucks a month helps us pay for the service space, helps us pay for the editing materials, occasionally helps us pay for diapers and beer. Remember, you can catch us on our YouTube channel if you're listening to the audio podcast on youtube.com/ChriscoCast, part of the Chrisco family of podcasting shows and stupid ass material that we post there all the time.
Fam.
Yeah, hashtag. You can find us on patreon.com/Chrisco Industries. There is a Twitter, ChriscoCast, and Facebook, Chrisco Industries. Of course, Randy and I are there as well, but we hardly ever use Twitter because that's for weirdos and actual professional journalists.
Twitter anymore.
Yeah. Are you on the Twatter? Oh, that's where Robert Kraft was.
Twatter.
Yeesh. Ow. Not good there. And it's been a while, but we do just want to thank you, Dave Grohl, for inspiring and charging the hearts of millions. Rock on, you. Yeah. I know that Randy and I certainly wouldn't nearly be half the men that we already the quarter of without your influence. So thank you very much. Randy, or any of your many borderline personalities, have anything else to say to round out the show?
See, brother, that has been fantastic to catch up with you, Robert. A little bit here in the R&R podcast. And I just want to thank all of our fans here. They are the cream of the crop.
Ooh, in your cup of coffee.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. For Randy Watkins, this is Robert Jones along with Hulk Hogan, the Hulkster. And thanks for tuning in to the R&R Sports Podcast. We will see y'all next time.
Later, bitches.
Ha ha.